Okay, hey everybody. Just wanted to do a update. I wanted to do an update on what's happening in my life right now, and more specifically, what's going on with my book. Like, where is it? Where's it at? So it took a little bit of. It's taking a little bit more time than I initially thought. I thought it would take just like sit down, type it up, it'll be done and over. But the experience has shown me a lot more, which you would see in the other video. But I will talk about what my book is about in many ways. So on the first level, it's a story of why I left to Mexico on a one-way ticket with $200. This was, I go into detail about the circumstances that were going on around my life at the time. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. I had left law school. I was I was working 3 different jobs. I had sued one in federal court, and then I got a letter asking me, how much do you want? And at the time I was really excited, and you can read all about that. I'm not gonna spoil it. Gotta sell some books, you feeling me? Um, and I left and took this trip because I knew my life was going to change. I talk a lot about how I had a lot of family problems. In my culture, there's something called a naming ceremony, and the way that my family had kind of treated me after I had shared my experience under their care, um, and how I'm a survivor of sexual violence against women. The dynamic of my family very much changed, and it forced me to go on this trip. It's been hard writing that part. Um, it's been cathartic, though. It's at times I'll write and then I'll push it away. I talk about homelessness for a little bit when I was fired from the jobs after not accepting my supervisor's advances. That was one, and then another situation, and just talking to other women and knowing we have had these similar situations, and teaching myself how to be strong, teaching myself how to anchor myself, and getting to the point where I was just like, you know what, if I have to experience this, and like these friends that we have before we leave, these so-called friends, if they're gonna be around for me when things were good, when I have my BMW and I'm paying for all of their lunches or happy hours, but I need a few friends to have done half of what I had done for them. And I did have a few people that I talk about during that time who were angels during that transition from leaving law school to enlightenment, and just, ultimate personal peace. So I also talk about in my book my experiences and all the things that I learned from each of the places and many of the people that I met. I, of course, talk about my favorite town, Puerto Escondido in Oaxaca, but all the experiences before that and the life lessons, like making sure you're prepared, that you always have to have a plan A, B, and C. And a very well adapted woman usually has plan A, B, and C. Um, and these are lessons that I had to learn. what else do I talk about in my book? That not so much. I wasn't sure if I should leave this part out or add a chunk to it, but I ultimately left because I understood that society is sick. I understand that when we are living in a society that is based really on promoting this agenda of turning humans into machines. So I guess that's a nice way to put it, yeah. Of turning humans into machines, it can be it's disheartening, and what it does to everybody in all aspects of living within this system, it makes people sick. So what you see is that children's ability to believe in themselves diminishes. And I understood this because, like, my background teaching in Phoenix, Arizona, my background teaching in Ghana, West Africa, my background teaching in a museum at the Missouri History Museum, everybody at very young ages believe that they can do anything. You ask, like, a young child, what do you want to do? And then they'll tell you, and sometimes every day it's something new. And best believe it, if they just keep believing it, it's going to work out for them. They will do it. But what happens in this system is they put children at very young ages into this system, and then they impose a grading scale to tell the children whether they're worthy or not of being able to do this. So what happens is you have a child in a reading class, and the child tries very hard and picks up a tongue twister. And the tongue twister, the grade that you get for reciting the tongue twister is like a C. Or the art teacher tells you cannot. Or you get a bad mark even though you studied very hard. And this creates tension between the child and the teacher. It creates tension between the child and the parent. The child then resents the teacher for telling you cannot. The parent resents the child because the parent is giving everything up for the child for the sake of the betterment of the child, without understanding that children really need, and every human being really wants, intimate connection with one another. So I touch very lightly on this in my book, but it's a subject matter that I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate talking about, and how I understood this by a lot of the people that I had come to me and just kept telling me, hey, you know what, I know you're doing the right thing. You know, I'm married now, I've got 3 kids, I don't even starting to not like my job. So this is what happens to adults. So what in this transitionary period, when you're in grade school, all of a sudden you think of something that is reasonable within this system, and that will make you money. So what kids go to college, then they start studying majors, and some in this generation, which I'm very proud of, are not so much looking at where they can make money. Some are in the mentality of, let me just help and do good. So we have a huge civic responsibility, but it's still not taking away from the fact that eventually people start wanting money, and their worth becomes tied up as adults in how much they're making, and how much their hourly or yearly salary is. And as if you think about it, we are spinning in a rock floating in the middle of outer space. That's one of the most insulting things, is to tell me that for the 1 hour in my life I'm getting $15 or $20 an hour. Like, are you joking me? 20 motherfucking dollars? Like, oh no. Half of our lives, some of us get to live very long lives. Some of us, and us, I mean humans, Homo sapiens, or aliens, or mixed breed people, hybrid, whatever you want to call yourself, somebody who is breathing on this earth right now. Some of us don't get that opportunity to breathe. Some of us come out stillborn. Some of us come out, and after 20 minutes or 2 days or 2 weeks, we die prematurely or as newborns. Some of us die in tragic car accidents. Some of us have seizures in our sleep. Some of us get cancer diagnosis, and some of us live very long lives. But one thing that is promised to us is death. And it's very insulting to know that a company that does not prize you, when you think about how much you can actually buy with the $10 or whatever that day is that you input into your work, is insulting. And people are feeding into this system that is perpetuating more pain, and it's leaving us more isolated lives. And you find a lot of people lost without cultures, desperate for meditation to find something. And these are just my observations. And that I was able to really plug in, and I saw that about 97% of humanity is not the freest or happiest they've ever been. Is this a capitalistic mentality? What's going on with that? I mean, again, I don't talk about that in this book. It's changed from a very broad view to, yes, I love saying this, I've created this word, this narrowistic approach. Because it's a microcosm. My life, I cannot just say I know this and this and this. It's a little more powerful when I share my experiences. And I'm learning now. It's taking me a little bit of time to bring up some of these experiences. So,